Hey there, Elisa, Half Asian Tarot Queen. I'm back doing another reading. So this one, we've got this Eight of Swords on the bottom of the deck still, which came up a lot in the Weekend Love reading where someone was in the doghouse. So you could go back and look at that, that reading if you like. I am dating this for November 4th, Monday, November 4th, but just as a reminder, so I'm not organizing this channel in the standard way with the zodiac signs, and I'm not doing this with the intention of becoming a reader, but I'm doing this because it's a way for me to manage my PTSD, and so this has been super healing for me. And so anyways, for this reason, I'm not really doing readings. I'm just putting the readings so I can be part of the community. And so I'm putting the readings out and I'm arranging them according to the storylines in the readings, because there's some recurring storylines that are coming up, and I feel like hopefully people can benefit from them with them being organized in this way. And I did a video kind of explaining all of this, and it's sort of the intro video on the page. So if you're curious about this and want to understand where I'm coming from, I put that up on the page. Yeah, like I've found myself personally that tarot has been this really instrumental tool in helping me manage my PTSD issues, and I'm going to talk more about that as we go, because I've really gotten a lot out of it, and I hope that this can like benefit people as much as it has me. And but you know, it's kind of a long story, so we'll get into it as we go. At the bottom of the deck we have the Sun card, so that's a really exciting development. And then the overall energies that I pulled, I got the Moon and the Seven of Wands. So that's really interesting. There have been a number of stories that have been unfolding as of late. A lot of drama, a lot of shifts, and a lot of changes have been going down. And so this is really interesting because it's like there's been obviously big shifts that are being triggered, but there's been like a lot of resistance to these shifts that have been coming up in the last couple of weeks. And so that's kind of what these overall energies are speaking to. Like there's a lot of emotions that are coming to the surface, but then there's also a lot of resistance to these emotions coming to the surface. So that's really interesting, because even before getting into the reading, one of the recurring threads that has been coming up has been about this epic love story that's been oppressed. And so this kind of speaks to that, you know, like there's some resistance to these emotions coming to the surface, you know. And so we'll see how that plays out in the as we get into the reading. I'm going to pull a few cards, you know, that are going to kind of give us a little bit more insight into what's going on. And I'm using the Serpentine Tarot deck, which I've been using a lot lately. This was given to me by my buddy Angie, who I've talked about a lot because I've been using this deck a whole lot lately. I love this deck. I love the shuffling. I love the gold. And I feel like I've been getting some real interesting messages. Oops. Oh my gosh. Crazy. So yeah, that's... there have definitely been these characters that are like really... they've got something to say that have been coming out in the readings. Okay. Interesting. All right. So... okay, interesting. All right, so we've got the Knight of Swords, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Nine of Pentacles. So That's really interesting. So the Knight of Swords, like, this is a fast-moving energy. You know, it's someone coming forward with a message, you know, and so this is the Knight of Swords. So swords speak to clarity and truth, you know, so the message might have something to do with that. And then swords also indicate air signs, so Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. The message could be coming from someone of that sign or someone embodying that energy. But it looks like this person is, you know, coming forward, you know, in a fast-acting, passionate way with some kind of message of truth or clarity. And then the next card we have is the Ten of Pentacles. So it's interesting because, you know, the Ten of Pentacles is kind of like this ultimate card of like abundance and happiness, you know, so it's just like when you've just kind of like achieved, you know, total abundance and fertility, you know, you have your family, you have your money, like you've just kind of built an empire, kind of, you know. And then right next to that, we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is interesting because the Nine of Pentacles is the card that just directly precedes the Ten of Pentacles in the deck. And this is kind of the opposite of that, but it's just, you know, this has been coming up a lot in the last couple of weeks. And it's just the card of, you know, I brought this up in another reading, the Frank Sinatra song, like I Did It My Way. So this is an independent person who's kind of, you know, made it on their own. They don't really need anybody to, you know, to make their way in the world. They've kind of made it on their own laurels, and they're good. You know, they're stable, they're abundant, they're, you know, on a solid foundation. But the only thing they're lacking, I guess, is really just the Ten of Swords, the Ten of Pentacles, which is just sort of, you know, the abundance, fertility, happiness, family. So it's almost like these cards are right next to each other. So it's almost like this message that's coming from this Knight of Swords has to do with some sort of transition, like either someone who's is totally made it on their own and is totally good, but just maybe just wants to have their family and their abundance and their family structure, you know. That's the last piece that they need, you know, to build their empire. So it's either going in that direction or perhaps the other direction where there is like this empire, you know, this structure, this family structure that's kind of, it's like dissolving and someone's stepping out on their own. So it could go like either direction, you know, so take it how it applies to your situation. So then on the bottom, we have the Page of Wands, which this is this is also a message, and it's just kind of like a fiery, passionate, you know, it's a fire sign, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, but this is kind of a message, and it's not as it's not as fast moving as this message. This is just a little bit more, you know, on the timid side than Knight, but some kind of message of passion. And then we have the King of Pentacles, which is real interesting because this king has been coming up in a bunch of readings. And I just did one I think it was on Thursday, about this King of Pentacles. And I did a link to, there's a thread called Phoenix about, you know, that's related to this story of this King of Pentacles who was kind of downtrodden and oppressed. And right now, there's some sort of dramatic climax that's happening that's like leveling the playing field and allowing this oppressed king to kind of like rise like a phoenix, you know, into this new world order where this king is kind of like coming forward as like the boss in this new world order. So it's interesting because there's like some sort of fiery, passionate message coming to this king, you know, who's been emerging as this big main character in a lot of the stories that we've been speaking to. And then there's the Judgment card. So it sounds like there's some sort of judgment coming towards this king, some sort of passionate judgment coming towards this king this week. And it's interesting too, because, you know, right above the king is this 10 of Pentacles, which is this total card of happy family, abundance, empire building. And, you know, there's been this storyline around this king where this king is like rising from the ashes and like building some empire, you know. So that kind of makes me think that this message, there's two different messages, you know, and it looks like some sort of judgments happened. So, you know, this could be around whatever situation was oppressing this king, you know, is coming to light, and this king is being liberated from whatever oppressive situation. And so now this king is stepping forward. This king has just been like this hard-working, nose to the grindstone king that's just been like working through a bunch of crap, you know, and but he's just kind of like built this foundation on his own, and it's just been like, you know, focused on work, and, you know, and like it looks like maybe he's stepping into his empire. Like maybe that's what this message is that's happening. So that's real interesting, you know, and especially since we had this happiness, ultimate happiness, abundance, fertility message on the bottom of this deck too. So it's just like almost like this, you know, like this king, like, you know, went out into the world and like fought all these battles, and like he came back to his hometown and they're like having a parade for him, you know. Like maybe that's going to happen this week. But I'm going to pull 3 more cards from this deck and see if we can get a little bit more clarity about what's going on. But so far, it looks pretty good, you know? Like, it looks like it's going to be a good week. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is interesting. I got one more card. All right. Okay. So, 3 of Wands. So this has been coming up a lot too in the last couple weeks. Again, I'm going to try to put links to threads at the end of the video so that you can connect to the related stories in this epic saga of triumph. So this is someone who's like kind of waiting for their ships to come in, and, you know, it's like off in the distance, but it's not quite here yet. So you're just kind of waiting, you know, and you're kind of putting things in order so that when your moment comes, you can seize the opportunity. And then the next card we have is Justice. So this often signifies like a Libra energy if you're going with the signs of the zodiac, but this is obviously a wrong being righted, which is interesting because this card fell right on top of this 10 of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, you know, which is funny because, you know, before this card even fell, I was talking about how this king was being oppressed by some situation, and maybe it was going to come to light this week, and that this was going to allow the king to step into their, you know, to their new empire. And so the card that fell right on top of that was Justice. So this is the card of a wrong being righted. So it looks like, you know, maybe whatever situation it was that was oppressing this king is going to come to light this week, and justice is going to be served. And then we have the 7 of Pentacles. So, and that fell right on top of the 9 of Pentacles and the Judgment card. So that makes it sound like whatever it is that has to come to light to like put the situation right. It seems like from the other readings that have preceded this, that whatever force it was that was oppressing this king was a pretty heavy thing, because this seems like it's been going on for a while. So I think what this card is indicating is that whatever it is that needs to be kind of like flipped on its head in order to like set the situation straight is going to require some work and some, you know, dedication. Like, it's not just like, you know, it's not going to be easy to like flip this switch. So it's going to take some dedicated effort is what it looks like. So that sounds pretty epic, you know, it sounds like an epic saga for sure. But that's what's going down. So I'm going to pull a card from the Sacred Traveler Oracle and see if we can't get a little bit more insight or advice. Because actually, I think I'm going to start running out of memory if I don't end this reading soon. This is like busting all the time limits. Okay. All right. Crossing bridges. It's time for healing, connecting, mending, and releasing. So that's interesting because, you know, it sounds like there's some situation that needs to be healed, some wrong that needs to be set right, and then when that happens, we're going to be able to cross the bridge from the old world order to the new world order, which is kind of, you know, that's going to set this chain of events that we're speaking to. And it's ultimately going to lead to, you know, abundance, fertility, happiness, the 10 of Pentacles, you know. But it's going to take some work, and it's not going to happen, you know, instant. No instant gratification here. Except, you know, in this reading, of course. Okay, so that's the message for today. We'll be back tomorrow with another message. Look forward to it.